think we are good. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram. We are good to go. Good morning, everybody. Let's get rid of this banner. Get the comments open and good to go. Welcome. Welcome to Mornings with Scott, the best damn business show for medium and small businesses on the planet. So I told you we're to bear through my allergies and whatever head cold I've got going on today again. I apologize for that. I told you I created this business course for medium and small businesses, and it's a direct to consumer. You know, if you're running a small business, you can go to my Shopify store and you can buy this course. It's 8 modules and it teaches you in total how to raise business capital for your business if you're struggling with that, and how to earn more profit. And the idea there is that 90% of new businesses never, ever pay their founder a living wage. And so I've created this course. I think it's going to be the best value for money, the best course that you can buy, period. And I'll tell you what it's not, and it's relevant to today's content. It is not yet another Gary V or similar top line marketing course. It's not you need to get content out. Here's how you do your D2C stuff, your direct to consumer stuff. It's not about that. It's not about growing your revenue. It's about making money based on the business that you have today and structuring yourself to grow your business, make more money, and have the value that you've created, the enterprise value, be transferable to a third party so that you can create wealth. Because you don't get wealth unless you exit. You have to exit in some way to get the wealth. And most businesses aren't saleable. Only about 2% of new businesses ever get sold and create wealth. And it's about raising business capital as well, because those things are, very much related. And now, so I've created this course and I've announced it to the world. It's going to be released, the first module, in September, around mid-month, maybe towards the end of the month. And we're starting to pre-sell and get organized on the marketing, which is a DTC, a direct-to-consumer marketing, which we have done before in my various businesses, obviously, but really not a direct hit to this. I've been focused more on brand building, and also I've always, my whole career, I've hired marketing agencies, I've had salespeople. I've never really sat down myself with a specific goal in mind apart from brand building, but actually I want to go sell this course and get it in the hands of as many entrepreneurs and small business owners as I possibly can. And so I've started this direct to consumer journey on my own. And you may ask yourself, well, why, Scott, are you wasting your time? Why don't you just hire a marketing agency, blah, blah, blah. Well, I like to learn. I'm very curious. I think a big part of my success, whatever, my tremendous success in various areas, has been my curiosity and my willingness and need to learn. And I also think it helps you continue to grow as a professional who's, not in the middle, not old, but definitely not in the middle of the career. And so it's a good thing to learn. And so I'm doing this this D2C journey with my key staff. Like for those of you that know me, and the Sinclair Range office, Ashley's been involved with this as well. And so we've started down this path. And let me tell you my main conclusion. My main conclusion about this is that if anyone in Silicon Valley can create a social media program that is simple, intuitive, is non-circular, like you click over here and that clicks you back over there, you'd be trillionaires. You'd be trillionaires. This is such incredibly, it's not complicated. It's just dumb. The setup is dumb. And it's almost intended to keep you out of the business of marketing to the consumers, whatever it is you want to market on your social media. So what we've done so far is we set up the Shopify account, and in fairness, my office did all of that. So it's pretty good. But we have the landing page, and I'm the one working on the marketing to drive traffic and to monitor the conversions and all that sort of stuff to the page. So I committed to myself last Friday, I'm going to start with, say, one platform every other day or so. So I started on LinkedIn, and I set up a post. I tried to do an ad. It didn't work out for me. Then I found out that I had to create a the Scott Sinclair page. So we now have a the Scott Sinclair page on LinkedIn, and I set up a post. And the reason I started with LinkedIn, by the way, is I have a pretty strong, I feel like my core audience that I engage with and my friends and peers, they're largely on LinkedIn. So that was a natural fit for me. So what I ended up with was a post that I'm boosting, because the ads, I don't know, that just got too complicated, and it just seems simple to do a post and to boost it from the Scott Sinclair page. And that took me sort of 2 days to figure out how to get that done and to pay for it, but it's doing pretty well, and it is driving traffic to the site. And I have done research on ChatGPT as to what you would expect on LinkedIn for images, the cost per 1,000 images, the clicks, and the cost per click, and this and that. And we're at the pretty good range for everything. So it is driving traffic to the store. So pat on the back for Scott. That seems to be a success, but it did take me 2 days of learning and figuring out how to do that. And so on the weekend, I moved into Instagram. Now, Instagram, I thought that should be my next platform because A, it seems like a good platform for this product, and B, I have about 12,000 odd followers on Instagram. And so that seems like a good place to do this next. And so I start off by doing a story. I shoot a story, a video with a link, has me smoking a cigar. Maybe if you follow me on Instagram, you guys have seen it. And I say, hey, I've created this course, and here's why you need it as a small business or an entrepreneur. And I put the post up, and I try to boost the post. Sorry, the story. No, not happening. I get messages back from Instagram like, we're not supporting boosting something without various types of links, like a poll or a hashtag or whatever. Now, it does have a link. It has a link to the Shopify store. And so I take it down, I redo it, I put it up again, and I put like a couple of hashtags on there, business, entrepreneur, whatever, try to boost it. It's like, nope. It says we can't boost a story with multiple links on it. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I can't do this yet. If I do that, I can't do that. So it doesn't work. So yesterday, I take that same short little video, 59 seconds, that used to be a story, and I put it as a post on Instagram. And I go to boost that post, and it is accepted. And but it's not boosting. After all this time, including this morning, it is not boosting. It spent $0 of the budget that I gave it, and it says, it has on the post, it says, a blue button for resume ad. So I keep hitting resume ad, and it spins around, and then it comes back and it says, hey, this post is already boosted, so you can't do that twice. If you want to delete it and redo it, you can't. And then I look down at the progress. What's the stats, the analytics that go with this post, and they're actually pretty good. Like the organic reach, because I have the followers on there, is pretty good, and it's getting some engagement, which is pretty good. But it's spending zero of the ad. Why? So last night I'm laying on the couch late, around midnight, after listening to Elon and Trump, which we'll talk about in a second, and I'm thinking, well, the next one I should be Facebook. I don't really use Facebook. I don't have really any followers there, but I will try to use that. And Facebook and Instagram are both owned by Meta, and so I'm into Facebook. And then I see that the payment method isn't working. It needs attention. It doesn't tell me that on Instagram at all. In Instagram, everything's fine except it's not working. On Facebook, it tells me, hey, your payment card isn't working, or it needs attention. So I go through the process again, laying on the couch of my phone, and the credit card's fine. And so when I get there, it says the credit card needs verification. Oh, your payment method needs verification. So, okay. So I start hitting the verification button. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then it does work. And then it wants to send you a text, but it doesn't send you a text. And you do retry, and then it sends you a text. And then you take the code from the text and you put it in, and then it just crashes. The system crashes. I did that like 10 times last night. And so as of this morning, it still wants verification of the exact same credit card, which is fine, which I've verified multiple times, and it's not working. Meta's the worst. It's not working on Instagram. It won't take the payment on Facebook. It's like they purposely don't want to take your money. Um, and also last night around 1 in the morning, I'm laying on the couch still, and I thought, oh well, I'm gonna see if I can put that ad, that smoking story that I did, if I can put that on TikTok, because I get some TikTok views every now and then, which are not bad. And so I put it on TikTok, not TikTok, put it on TikTok, and I go to boost that. And no, I don't even go to boost it. I just post it, and then I'm looking, and then within an hour, I should have a lot of views on that video. Zero, zero. So I check the account. This video has been blocked because I'm smoking a cigar. And when I say smoking, one puff, blow out some smoke, say what I have to say. I think I take a second puff during that 59 seconds. That's it. It's not like I'm just pounding a cigar, and it violates their terms and services. You can shake your booty. You can have see-through clothes. You can show everything that you want to show in your private parts, pretty much. It's not as bad as Instagram, but you could be shaking some stuff on TikTok. But God forbid Scott has a puff of a cigar in an ad. Well, that's what I've been up to. I apologize. The whole point of that is what? I want to apologize to all of those marketing agencies over the years. You know who you are. When my eyes were glazing over and rolling back when you were trying to explain difficulties and why things were being shadow banned, and you couldn't get this to work, you couldn't get that to work. It's been an experience. It's been an experience. So Trump and Elon, let's jump into this. Big news yesterday. Trump joined X, got back on Twitter, and did a Spaces audio, Spaces, which is like an audio. It's like a radio interview between two people. Well, as many people as you want to bring in. In this case, it was just President Trump and Elon Musk. And I'm reminded to tell you that this is not a politics show. It's a business show. I'm accused, including by my own staff, of there being too much political content on here. But what I'm trying to do is use current events and draw lessons related to my content from that. And we're in an election year. That's the only thing in the news. We're in the middle of August. There is no business news. And so you do what you can. And also, if we can't learn lessons from two uber successful billionaires, one of them probably the best entrepreneur in the world in Elon, if we can't learn from them attacking all sorts of problems and opportunities, then we're being idiots, right? We're just being idiots if we don't at least observe, no matter what our political view is, observe what these successful people are doing and taking lessons from it. So they're going to do, it's announced that Trump's coming back on X, and everyone on the Democrat left side starts freaking out yesterday, or when this was announced. We can't have disinformation. We don't want free speech, right? And so there's the argument, and it's so bad. Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that Europe pressures Musk. And it starts off, it says, the mere suggestion that Europe thinks it can limit what it said during a U.S. presidential campaign event is an extreme escalation of the continent's efforts to rein in big tech. On Monday, a gentleman by the name of Thierry Breton of the EU, Commissioner for Internal Markets, issued a warning in writing on X to Musk, warning that the interview of the former President Donald Trump on the platform could run afoul of the EU's new sweeping online laws aimed at limiting harmful content. So the very fact that Musk would platform, as they like to say on the left, Trump, give him a voice, ask him some questions, promote him, the very fact that would be done means that the EU is threatening to go after the business of X with fines and other regulations, effectively to shut it down. He noted, Breton noted that Musk's duty to the bloc's law as a large online platform to balance, quote, freedom of expression, end quote, with the, quote, amplification of harmful content, end quote, that could generate detrimental effects on civic discourse and public security. Do you think that an interview with Trump on X during a US presidential election would cause in France or in the EU detrimental effects on civic discourse and public security? Do you think that has anything to do with anything? Wall Street Journal goes on to say that this is important against the background of recent examples of public unrest brought about by amplification of content that promotes hatred, disorder, incitement to violence, or certain instances of disinformation. Basically, any narrative that goes against what the EU and the Democrat liberals want you to say. And since X is available in the European Union, Breton said he would be extremely vigilant to any evidence that points to breaches of the act and will not hesitate to make full use of our toolbox, including by adopting interim measures should it be warranted to protect EU citizens from serious harm from an interview, a Spaces interview between Trump and Musk. So this was a formal letter on letterhead by the EU Commission posted on X. To which Musk responds, bonjour. One word. That's what he responds. So we want to learn lessons. I mean, this is the type of heat you take when you live this guy's life, I suppose. And you just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. In the past months, excuse me, sorry about that. He accused the government, Musk accused the government of offering him an illegal secret deal. So Musk has accused the EU of coming to him in advance of all of this when this new law was passed over the EU of an illegal secret deal. If we quietly censor speech without telling anyone, they would not fine us. The other platforms accepted that deal and X did not. Well, I think the history of everything we've seen from the other platforms and from the old Twitter tells us that that is likely true. On the matter of what is okay to stream whether it's okay to stream a conversation with Trump, it would be easy to understand if Musk returned to his old standby for the EU along the lines of go fuck yourself. It says that in the Wall Street Journal. I'm not just making this up. He never told the EU to go F themselves. He did tell advertisers who tried to boycott him to go F themselves in the past. If you never saw that, it is classic. But it says instead, within hours, Musk had a new twist, tweeting a meme. So the meme was Les Grossman, the Tom Cruise character from Tropic Thunder, the big-handed, over-the-top, foul-mouthed Hollywood agent stereotype. And he he tweets to the EU a meme of that, which says, "Take a big step back and literally go fuck your own face." This is how. Maybe we shouldn't take that lesson. Maybe that's not a lesson for you and me, but it is entertaining. So he's threatened by the EU for stepping in. He's threatened by the EU who wants to step into the US election. And by the way, do you think the EU really cares? Do you think they really, really care and that European citizens are threatened by a discussion between Musk and Trump? Or just hypothetically, I'm not suggesting anything, but let's say you were in power right now, you were in the administration and you were a political opponent to the Republicans, to Donald Trump. Or let's say you're in the bureaucracy and you were freaked out by Trump's presence and fearful for what he might do if he gets back into power. Let's say you have these motivation. Let's say you wanted to shut him up. let's say you charged him with a bunch of faux crimes and that hasn't worked, and maybe it wasn't you, but there was an assassination attempt on his life, and that didn't seem to work either. And so you want to go after the one platform. There's one platform in the entire world that actually gives him a voice, but you're not allowed to shut that down because of your stupid laws. What might you do if you were in that situation? I'm not accusing anybody of being in that situation or have taken any certain actions, but what would you do if you absolutely 100% felt like you were personally at risk if you don't shut this guy up? Would you do nothing? Would you break your own laws? Or, just as a possibility, would you call your buddies in the EU and have them issue a threat for you, hoping that that might work to shut them up or to shut down that platform with fines and regulation? Maybe that's a good option. Just asking to think about that as an alternative. My cold's killing me today. So the time comes for the spaces and no one can log on. No one can log on to the space. We keep trying over and over. People are sending out posts. Can you get on? I can't get on. What's happening? I actually get in. I get in, and then there's hold music and there's nothing happening. And eventually, 15, 20 minutes into this, there's a post by Musk that says there's been a massive DDoS attack on X and we're working on shutting it down. So he starts off with the threat from the EU. Then there's a cyber attack on X so that nobody can listen to this thing. So a DDoS is a distributed denial of service. This is getting beyond my level of expertise, but it's a cyber attack where, let's just describe it the way the news described it last night, which I thought was great. The woman on the news described it as, it's like flooding the front of the store with people so that no legitimate buyers can get in. So he has a distributed denial of service attack, cyber attack, and of course his team being what they are, they were able to shut that down. And probably half an hour in, he fights through that, continues to go through all these issues, and we get up and running. And he has about a 2.5 hour conversation with Trump. And it was not flamboyant. It was not grandiose. It was a little bit boring. It wasn't very entertaining. It's an awkward platform when you're having, it's like a phone conversation. There's no video, so you can't get the cues from the other person. So at times you wish that Trump would stop talking because he'd said enough. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, I think when you're approaching 80 and you're using these technologies, maybe you don't have the intuitive cues that someone younger on that type of technology might get. I don't know. It seemed to drag on a little bit, is my point, but it was over 2 hours and it wasn't really a show, but it was a good conversation. It covered things like government, cutting government spending. And related to that was a government efficiency committee, which must push hard to, well, not hard, but he volunteered himself to be on such a committee. Remember, this is the guy that's famous for cutting expenses. We'll talk about that on X in a second. They talked about legal immigration, not really shutting the border down, although that was part of it, but they talked about legal immigration and the need for qualified, lots of new people into the U.S. that were qualified and could help the U.S. Grow and bring skills and whatever else the government may decide is needed through a legal immigration program. So they talked about that. They talked about deregulation and sensible regulation, and how regulation, as I've told you on this show many, many times, regulation is the key driver of inflation under the current administration. They talked about high-speed transit, nuclear energy, and a sensible approach to climate change. So it was a pretty good discussion. Everything was sane, useful, and it really brought out a lot of the policies and thinking of Trump. So I'm not sure how the count works on X, because the stream that I was on had 1.3 million live viewers at the time. But it was reported, I think there were multiple streams because I think in aggregate it was reported there was about 60 million live at one point. They mentioned that during the show. I mean, it's an incredible number of people and just shows the lack of influence of traditional media compared to these social media platforms. So 60 million viewers live, not on my stream, but that's what they said. And Elon during this had estimated that they would have 200 to 300 million viewers of this ultimately with the replays sort of over 24 hours or whatever. Except he posted this morning, they crossed the 1 billion views mark. 1 billion. Now, obviously, that's not a billion people, as my wife pointed out this morning. I don't know. What's the population of Earth now? Like 6, 7, somewhere in that range. I mean, it's not 1 billion unique people. Obviously, there's a lot of replays in there, but wow. Wow, the reach of this platform is absolutely incredible. And what a success for Musk fighting through these challenges, taking this risk. And let's see what it costs them. Let's see what the EU does, directed by the US administration or otherwise. But let's see what they do and what the cost of this was. But what a home run from Musk's perspective. Mind-boggling result for a message and for a guy in Trump who's been censored so badly. And by the way, it's not just Trump that they want to censor. It's the entire counter narrative. All of this really has nothing to do with Trump. It could be Nikki Haley up there. They'd be wanting to censor her for disinformation as well. And so anyways, great success for him. Wall Street Journal also reported yesterday, related to all of this, that they gave some story, but it was gave a story inside Elon Musk's hands-on push to win 800,000 voters for Trump. So beginning in the spring, apparently, Musk quietly, it says, blocked out an hour every Friday for a new pursuit, national politics, in his weekly meetings with consultants and vendors for a super political action committee, updated him on the progress towards discussing the goal, a very specific goal, which I love, of turning out 800,000 people to vote for Donald Trump in battleground states. So it's not about marketing. It's not about messaging. It's about the logistics of registering voters who otherwise would not be registering and getting them out to vote. And what I love about this is the specificity of the goal of 800,000 people in aggregate in these various states. Musk is putting in a proposed budget of 160 million that they would need for the task, most of it to come from Musk himself. Talked about raising an army of more than 6,000 canvassers and other workers, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, right? 160 million people. But remember last election cycle when Biden got elected, Zuckerberg was a huge part of that. He had put in 420 million. So, maybe 3-4 times more, somewhere in that range, 420 million into doing exactly this for Democrats in that election cycle. So here's the question. Do you think that Elon can outcompete Zuck with a quarter of the money? I'm betting on Elon. Although I will say, I think Zuck is now either stepped out or is supporting Trump. He's put out some comments to that effect. So I don't think it's really a one-on-one competition. I'm just pointing out that it sounds like a gross amount of money, $160 million. But this is not unprecedented. Zuckerberg crushed that number last election cycle. So Musk puts his money in. He creates this super PAC. He set the objective, right? Trying to tackle this problem and this opportunity. And then less than a month, but he wants to be hands-off. He wants to step back. And less than a month, 3 months after launching the effort, Musk signed off on firing most of the vendors. So we wiped out the whole team. Only for the super PAC to rehire one of them after the resulting chaos. You remember when he bought X? He bought X. He paid $44 billion. $44 billion for this platform, which everybody thought was nuts. It never had a chance of making any money. Why is he doing that? And then promptly fired or got rid of about 80% of the staff. Imagine paying $44 billion for a company and getting rid of 80% of the staff right away, and then having the business works better. you get rid of all this cost and the business is operating more efficiently and providing a better service than it did when you had all those people back. And he fired or got rid of so many people, he had to start hiring a few of them back. And he announced or answered one question about that, did you cut too much? He says, look, if you're not hiring back, you haven't cut enough. Like, how do you know what the limit is on what you can cut unless you go a little bit too far and you need to panic and bring some back? So he does that on purpose. That's exactly what he did here with this super PAC. It says that he fired all the vendors and the PAC had to rehire a couple of them. And it says he also replaced the Texas advisors with, okay, that doesn't matter. So the subsequent weekly Friday. So then he goes on with meetings after this because he's not happy with the way it's working out. We're trying to take lessons from these ultra successful people. I love how he's immediately not happy within 3 months of where this project is going. So he fires everybody, puts in a new management team, which is the part that I skipped there in the interest of time. And then he starts micromanaging. And one of the things he micromanages, I love this, is that more than once he says, quote, bad news must be repeated before good news, end quote. And this is how he handles his management, meaning I'm going to change my style on this. I'm very good news focused, and I try to basically ignore the bad news and hope that that just works out, which it usually does. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with the things that I've done, but he's tackling bad news first. Maybe I should try starting that as an approach. And he wants details. It's the micromanaging the details when things are not going well. He says, what is the script for the door knockers? So people are going around, they're knocking on doors and they're trying to register voters. What is the script for the door knockers? Could they record some of the interactions? That's the level of detail that this guy who's trying to land rockets on the moon is trying to put people living on Mars, is building the world's best electric car auto company, which is going to turn into a robot company, is digging holes in the earth for transportation, is putting chips in people's brains so they can recover from spinal cord injuries or blindness or other horrible things. He's at the level of detail of wanting to know the script from the door knockers. Someday I'll tell you, I was at a event and Tommy Hilfiger was speaking. I was speaking, but Tommy Hilfiger was speaking in a different position. And, Tommy's an older guy now, ultra successful fashion brand, had a bankruptcy or two before he got into the Tommy Hilfiger side that was a success for him. And even at his age, his level of detail and knowledge of his business blew me away. And one of the reasons it blows me away is I'm actually bad at that. I need to force myself to focus on details. I've been accused of that more than once in my career. And so there's a lesson. This guy with all these things that he's doing is literally looking for scripts that the door knockers use and videos of the exchanges with the households when the door knocker gets a conversation with them. There you go. Those are all my prepared remarks. It was by the way, if you want to know why I started this with my DTC direct to consumer journey and the curiosity and the learning, this example of Elon Musk is exactly why I'm doing that. I feel like I need to learn this and not plow money out to marketing agencies nonstop that are ineffective. And I can't just wash my hands of something I don't understand. So lessons from billionaires. Talked about my DTC journey. I think we are done today. Those are all of my prepared marks. I think it's a light comment day, so there's nothing I'm going to cover on that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We are Mornings with Scott every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:30 Mountain Time. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow.